Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is such a good time, y'all. While it seems at a base to be a simple port of the Wii U version, the increased speed, added mobility options, and quality of life improvements make this easily the definitive version of the game. And what's the definitive version of a Mario game without some power-ups? Being one of those 2D Mario and 3D type games, Mario 3D World obviously places a lot of emphasis on its power-ups in both its level design and its player abilities. So in this video, I wanted to rank them. We'll be ranking every power-up in the game based on the criteria of how useful they are to the player, how fun they are to use, how versatile they are, and how they change the player's base abilities. I want to note that we'll be primarily ranking these based on their usefulness in the main game, since a lot of power-ups take on completely different contextual uses in Bowser's Fury. In addition, there is a difference between a power-up and an item. An item like the ski boot or piranha plant is an object that players pick up or interact with during gameplay, whereas a power-up is something that actively changes the player's appearance or abilities. We'll be ranking power-ups, not items. That said, let us get to ranking. Starting us off is one that I bet most of you didn't even know was in the game. I know I didn't. The Invincibility Bell acts as the cat equivalent to the Invincibility Leaf, making the player completely immune to damage while also granting them the abilities of the Super Bell. The problem is its availability. This item can only be obtained by tapping a Cat Mario amiibo or very rarely the Cat Peach amiibo. Now, I like amiibos as a collector of useless plastic myself, but locking a new inclusion to the game behind what's effectively a $20 paywall is pretty lame. What's gonna happen when the game isn't relevant anymore and Nintendo stops producing Cat Mario amiibos? This power-up will basically become a legend, only accessible to the most dedicated of amiibo collectors, and that's just not cool. At least it's just a modified version of another power-up though, and not a unique, cool addition. Regardless, easily the least impressive in the game for me. From one instant win button to another, we have the Invincibility Leaf. Now, I'm not the kind of person to shame a player for using a resource provided to them to make a level easier. How you choose to play through a level is entirely up to you, and that's valid. My problem with the Invincibility Leaf is how functionally useless it is in a lot of cases for that purpose. Oftentimes, enemies aren't going to be what's killing you in this game. It'll be instant kill hazards like pits and lava, especially in the post-game. And guess what the Invincibility Leaf just doesn't protect you from? Plus, even though I don't mind people using this item on their own terms, if you're someone who ends up struggling on a level without wanting to use it, its appearance will likely feel like a borderline insult. I'd love to be able to toggle an option for it, like a please do not show Invincibility Leaf button. Regardless, this is an item that I don't mind conceptually, but really don't care for in practice. It's the most iconic of Mario power-ups and probably its most useless appearance ever. Seriously, sometimes I straight up forget that the Super Mushroom is even in this game. There's plenty of instances where the game is scripted to give you a better power-up over this and you hit a block, even if you're small Mario when you do it, and the fact that you start as the big version of your character when respawning after a death diminishes a lot of the potential uses of this item. Why get a Super Mushroom when you can just die and start from big? It has to be here because it's a Mario game, but this is definitely one of its weaker outings. The Lucky Bell is a late-game version of the Super Bell, granting players all of the abilities of Cat Mario while also turning them into a statue on Ground Pound for some free coins. While I like this in concept, there are definitely some things holding it back. For one, the fact that it only starts appearing in the post-game and World Mushroom or when using a Cat Peach amiibo makes the player's exposure to it incredibly limited in the average playthrough. And there's also the fact that it's directly at odds with the new movement options added in the Switch version. You can do an Odyssey dive out of a Ground Pound now, which is huge for this game, but turning into a statue when using this item removes the player's ability to do it. I'd gladly take improved movement over a few extra coins that I get while on my way to the ground. All in all, while this power-up is objectively useful, just being another version of the Super Bell, it's just a weaker version of it to me. The Mega Mushroom returns to the Mario series, acting like just as much of a gimmicky set piece as always. Seriously, picking up a Mega Mushroom just feels like pressing an auto-win button for a few seconds, and it can even act as a detriment sometimes. It eats your current power-up and can cause you to destroy important things like power-up blocks or even pipes to green stars, which can cause you to have to replay levels. All that said, its infrequent appearances and the level of satisfaction that comes with using it effectively make it a relatively harmless if gimmicky inclusion when all things are considered. I love the double cherry in concept. It's such a silly, unique, and distinctly Mario idea. It's fun and offers a ton of meme potential. That said, it's got some downsides. Navigating a level with up to 4 or 5 of the same character who all respond to the same inputs can be legitimately disorienting, and the fact that the clones can only survive one hit before death kind of diminishes their value. What if instead of dying instantly, being hit as a clone causes all of the clones to lose their power-ups and they start dying when they get hit when they're small like the player? This whole issue is only compounded by the fact that a lot of double cherry levels are just content to throw a bunch at you and place an obstacle at the end that requires them all to navigate. If they don't all survive, then you're starting the level over to get the collectible. Overall, while I like the double cherry, I just wish there were a few changes to its design. It's time for another classic Mario power-up, this time being the Fire Flower. I love the Fire Flower under normal circumstances, as giving the player a projectile to damage enemies with is huge, and the ways it can interact with the environment is really fun and great. That in mind, it's kind of limp in 3D world specifically. This game has an inherent depth perception problem due to its camera angles and very tight controls, and that makes aiming precise shots of the Fire Flower a bit difficult. Other than that though, it's really cool and just as much of an important power-up as it is in any other Mario game. I also love Fire Peach and Rosalina's designs. Now, I know Scott the Woz called this item a worse version of the Fire Flower, and while I love Scott and his content, I'm gonna have to disagree with him here. I love the Boomerang Flower. While its projectile is slow, the fact that it rebounds more than makes up for it, easily allowing for corrected shots. Plus, the Fire Flower is pretty darn slow in this game as well, due to its hard cap of only having 2 fireballs on screen at a time. In addition, being able to destroy obstacles like the Fire Flower, but also being able to pick up collectibles from a distance is huge, and easily mitigates what would otherwise be a lot of very tricky platforming sections or leaps of faith. This makes this item a clear favorite of mine alone. It's got utility and offense, what's not to like? Plus a cute little Hammer Bro outfit for whoever uses it. All in all, a clear win. The Superstar, or as my 3-year-old nephew calls it, the Rainbow Star, is obviously a very good power-up. It grants the benefits of both the Invincibility Leaf and the Mega Mushroom in a much more streamlined way, without the patronizing design of the former, or the risk of destroying important obstacles as the latter in exchange for being on a timer. The only thing that really holds it back is its very rare appearances in this game without an amiibo, and the fact that it can't be stored for later uses like other power-ups. Regardless though, this is one classic power-up that I'm always happy to see. The Super Bell is so damn fun. Ignoring how weird it is to choose Cat specifically for a power-up aesthetic design, this thing is amazing in execution. The added mobility it grants is great, and the claw swipe being able to be used for both damaging enemies and increasing your airtime make it very versatile and useful. I also love being able to climb walls, which makes traversing otherwise tricky platforming challenges a breeze, and climbing flagpoles, which greatly simplifies the process of getting golden flagpoles in all levels. Honestly, this thing and my #1 pick could be easily exchanged, and my only real problem with this power-up is that the Switch version's added mobility options kind of steal its thunder. Otherwise, a clear runner-up. Like I said, this and the Super Bell are pretty much interchangeable, but boy is the Tanuki Leaf great in this game. You know why Peach is the best character in the game? Because she can hover, allowing her to easily reorient herself and gain footing. This item allows all characters to do that, while also servicing the game's improved mobility in a great way. It even comes with an attack, which, while not as great as the Claw Swipe, does cover the entire area around the player. And as one final point, it single-handedly gives characters other than Peach a fighting chance at Champion's Road, which is worth more than anything. All in all, my favorite power-up in the game, even if it is a bit nostalgia baity. So what'd you think of my takes? Were they good? Were they bad? Were they enough to make you go feral on me? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know what your personal tier list would be. Thanks, hope you have a fantastic day before, during, and after watching, and I'll catch you all later. Thanks and cheers.
Who really died that day? And who came back?